When you open the spreadsheet, you'll see the Introduction tab. This explains how to fill the spreadsheet in and provides an example of what a production will look like when recorded. Then, when you're ready to begin, you can move on to the Setup tab. First, define a time period of your choice, setting start and end dates. The length of time you choose might depend on the scale of your organisation, how many productions you do, and whether you work in seasons, but it should contain enough productions to give you a meaningful set of data to work with. It should also only feature productions happening in the future, not those that are currently happening or which have already taken place. Next, you can set up to 4 target characteristics you'd like to be represented better in your casting. For example, you might want to focus on BAME actors, or women over the age of 50, or anything else that you'd like to. Now you'll need to decide a percentage of representation you'd like to achieve for each of these target characteristics. For example, you might like to see your casts being made up of at least 35% BAME actors, or 15% of women over the age of 50. In the zip folder that you downloaded the spreadsheet from on the Theatre Casting Toolkit website, you will find a series of discussion guides. The first of these, the Getting Started guide, will take you and your colleagues through the process of making decisions about which target characteristics you will focus on and the numerical targets you want to set yourselves for each of these. Back on the spreadsheet, if you scroll down, you will find 2 final sections on the setup page. The first is Type of Production. We have given you some pre-filled categories, but you can add or customise these to make them bespoke to you. You can have up to 9. The second section is Type of Role, and again you can have up to 9 categories. We have made some suggestions, but you can add or change these. You have now completed your setup and are ready to move on to focus on your productions. When you click on the Data Entry tab, you'll see that the target characteristics and the numerical targets you selected for yourself on your setup page have automatically carried across. You'll now need to input information on the first production in your time period. After giving the title, you'll be asked to say the number of seats per performance and also the number of performances. If you don't know exact numbers for these, that's fine. You can make an estimate now and come back and add in exact numbers once these have become clearer. For type of production, you'll see there's a drop-down containing the options you created for yourself on the setup page. Select the category that best fits this production. Now add in the roles you'll be casting for. As you do this, you'll see that the cast size box will automatically fill, counting each new character added. Once you've completed information for the first production in your time period, you'll need to do the same for all subsequent productions. To add a new production to your spreadsheet, click the plus button on the left-hand side. Each of these holds space for up to 20 actors. If, however, you are casting shows with very large casts, the bottom 4 plus buttons will give you enough rows for up to 50 actors. Once you have completed the data entry sheet for all your productions, it might look something like this. Notice that in productions where actors are doubling, all the roles played by one actor are placed on the same row. This is important or your numbers won't add up. If you scroll up to the top of the page, you'll see that now the spreadsheet knows how many actors you'll be employing over the time period, it can tell you how many actors must possess your target characteristic for you to hit your percentage target. So, in this instance, if 35% of our casts will be BAME, that equates to 14 actors, or for 15% women over the age of 50, that's 6 actors in total. Now you have entered all of your productions, you can begin to project what the makeup of your casts will be, or what you would like them to be across the time period. Using the drop-downs, you can begin to put placeholders in where you anticipate you will cast an actor with one or more of your target characteristics. These placeholders may be based on pre-existing commitments you might have with specific actors to play particular roles, the script itself dictating when actors with certain characteristics must be cast, alternatively a director's interpretation for a production which suggests that they may purposefully work against traditional expectations of who should be cast in particular roles. Or you may have priority roles that you are particularly keen to cast in certain ways in order to address historic imbalances, or to provide your audiences with a broader range of possibilities. As you use the drop-downs to reflect these projections, you'll see the figures in the top-line summary will update. This will enable you to see how near or far you are from achieving your numerical targets, and whether you need to increase the number of actors with your target characteristics in order to hit them. When you are on track to reach your percentage target, the relevant box will turn green. When you're not, it will remain red. Remember, up until now you have been putting projections into your spreadsheet. As you start actually casting, you will need to return to the spreadsheet and start updating it with the information you've now obtained about the actors you've actually cast. As you do this, the top-line summary boxes will continue to change, allowing you to compare your running total with the targets you set yourself at the beginning of your time period. It's important that once you begin casting, you don't forget about the spreadsheet for months on end. You need to keep checking in on this top-line summary as you progress through your time period to get a sense of whether you're on track to achieve your targets or not. It may be that, if you're not, you need to reassess your approach to casting the productions happening later in your time period in order to achieve your overall numerical targets. Again, there is a discussion guide to help you with this part of the process and to support you to stay on track. The checking in guide in the zip file can be used by you and your colleagues once or multiple times throughout the time period to measure where you are, to identify what's working well, and to consider where you may need to change tack. When you get to the end of your time period, you will be able to see whether or not you have achieved your target percentages. But the spreadsheet also provides you with more detailed data. You can find this by clicking on one of the target tabs. Each tab gives additional statistics relating to one of the target characteristics you set for yourself, breaking down the data you've collected in different ways. The first way is in the Type of Role section. Here you can see how actors sharing a target characteristic have been cast. For example, out of the BAME actors you cast, you can see how many played a lead role and how many played other types of role. First, go into the filter and remove anything you don't want to see, for example any blanks. This will update the chart and provide you with a breakdown of exactly how your BAME actors were cast compared to their non-BAME colleagues. Scrolling down on the spreadsheet, there is another set of data, this time for type of production. Again, use the filter to remove any blanks, giving you a visual representation of the types of production that actors with that target characteristic were cast in. Your data is then broken down by percentage of appearances and number of seats, using the information about number of performances and venue capacity you input previously. This will tell you whether actors sharing your target characteristic were given as much stage time as those who don't. It's important you look at these breakdowns for a more nuanced picture of how much opportunity your audiences actually had to see actors with your target characteristics. You might have hit your headcount target, but perhaps BAME actors were predominantly cast in minor roles, or in new writing but rarely classics, or in smaller spaces for shorter runs. All of this should be reflected on by you. Again, there is a discussion guide in the zip file that supports you and your colleagues to examine this data at the close of your time period. We hope the learning from this, about how you cast and perhaps also what you are programming, can be taken forward into a future time period. We would encourage you to download the tracker afresh and start again for your next set of productions. Remember, there is a wide range of tools, resources and provocations all designed to supplement and support your use of this tracker available at theatrecastingtoolkit.org. This is a new tool and we welcome feedback, so please get in touch via the Theatre Casting Toolkit website if you have a query or a suggestion.